Every society in the world requires rules and laws to govern the people and prescribe the operations of institutions. In democratic countries like Zambia, the duty of making laws, amending and repealing them is vested in parliament. This is anchored on the model of separation of powers in which three arms of government, that's the executive, legislature and judiciary, operate independently and provide an oversight role of each other. In this case, parliament is referred to as the legislature or the legislative branch of government. The Parliament building in Zambia is a dominant structure located on a low-crowned hill. Its external appearance expresses the dignity and power of government, while internally it is planned to function as a center of administration. At the time of Zambia's independence in 1964, Parliament was housed at Cabinet Office, but the place was inadequate and unsuitable. A decision was therefore made soon after independence to construct a more fitting parliament building to meet future expansion and also provide adequate sitting and office accommodation to members. Parliament consists of the President, Speaker, 150 elected and 8 nominated members of Parliament. While it is the responsibility of the executive branch of government to develop new policies, the legislative branch, which is Parliament, has a mandate to approve them and pass new laws to give legal effect to the policies. Under the law-making process, usually the one who initiates the bill is the executive wing of government, which is headed by the President. All legislative proposals are brought before Parliament in the form of bills. A bill is a law in a draft form and cannot become law unless it has received the approval of Parliament and the assent of the President. Dr. Godfrey Hantobolo is Deputy Clerk Procedure at the National Assembly of Zambia. Dr. Hantobolo says in Zambia, bills are categorized in 4 groups, and these are the public bill, private members bill, private bill, and hybrid bill.
The first one is a public bill, which is related to public policy. In this case, maybe to explain further, is that the executive comes up with different policies according to their manifestos, especially of the ruling party. And once they come up with a policy, the policy must be backed by law. And this is done through a bill that they present it before the House to back up that public policy. And then once it becomes law, then the executive is given legal powers to implement that particular policy. The second type of a bill that is considered by the House is a private member's bill. This is one that is initiated by a member of Parliament. Mostly this is done in Kenya. Most of the laws that have been passed in the House in Kenya have been initiated by private members. And therefore, these also should be related to public policy, but the most important thing is that they are introduced by backbenchers. The third type of a bill is called a private bill. These are bills that relate to private organizations such as the Law Association of Zambia or the Doctors Association, Medical Doctors Association, which aim at protecting the interests of those particular members of those associations. These also are introduced in the House in the same way as I have already explained. But they concentrate on those associations. The fourth one is the hybrid bill. This particular bill also relates to particular interests such as a local council. And therefore, once passed into law, they also look into the interests of those localities, such as the local council.
The executive is mandated to present the bill through a cabinet memorandum, which has to include the various policies that the government wants to implement. The memorandum is then tabled before the ministry, which wants to implement that particular law. Dr. Hantobolo says that once the ministry is satisfied and sure of what type of law they want to pass, the minister is expected to present it before cabinet through a cabinet memorandum.
At the cabinet level, when the cabinet meets, the minister is made to defend the bill that he wants to introduce in the House. Why? And the importance of that policy, that the objectives of the bill, and then if it goes through at the cabinet level, then the minister, then cabinet gives authority to that particular ministry through its minister to table the bill into the House.
After the bill has been presented in Parliament, it has to pass through various stages. And these are the first reading, reference to the committee, second reading, committee stage, report stage, and the third reading stage. Each of these stages is cardinal in the lawmaking process. During the first reading, the executive, through the relevant minister, tables the bill before the House by reading the objective of the bill. And once it goes through the first reading, the Speaker of the National Assembly refers it to the relevant parliamentary committee for detailed scrutiny. At this stage, the bill is critically examined by the committee, who invite members of the public for their input. The committee is expected to produce a report on the bill. The report recommends favorable consideration, and sometimes with amendments proposed by members of the public, that the House must include during the committee stage of the bill. Once the committee has completed this, it presents its report on the bill to the House during the second reading stage.
The members of Parliament are given an opportunity to debate the bill in an intelligent manner, having been intelligently informed by the report that is tabled by their committee. And after that, the bill then, once it passes the second reading stage, it goes through the next stage of the bill, which is the committee stage. And during the committee stage, the House resolves into the committee, which is chaired by the Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly. And at this stage, the House goes through the bill article by article. And if there is need to amend any article, then it is at this stage when all the amendments to any bill are done. And once we have gone through the committee stage, if the bill goes through the committee stage without amendments, then it goes straight for third reading. But if the bill goes through the committee stage with amendments, then it goes to the next stage of the bill, which is called the report stage. And the purpose of the report stage is to is for the House to receive the report of the committee that the bill has gone through the committee stage, and therefore the bill is ready for consideration by the House at committee stage level. Then once we pass through the committee stage level, then the bill goes to the last stage, which is the third reading stage, which is a formality stage at which the bill is read, and then once it goes through that stage, then that is the last stage in the House. And from there, it is sent to the President for assent. And once the president does that, then it becomes law.
In all these stages, the members of parliament are expected to debate freely without any fear of any repercussion. This is because the laws of Zambia provide for powers and immunity of the National Assembly. The parliamentary privileges are deemed necessary for the House as an institution and for members of parliament as a representative of the electorate to function effectively and efficiently.
We have a law in Zambia that provides for powers and immunities of the National Assembly. And that is Chapter 12 of the laws of Zambia. So these are some of the privileges, rights, immunities that are enjoyed by the National Assembly of Zambia. So we have the most important, which I consider the most important right, which is a privilege which is accorded to members of parliament. And this is the freedom of speech and debate. So members of parliament enjoy freedom of speech and debate when they are here debating in this chamber. And the reason why they are given that freedom of speech and debate is for them to enable them to debate freely without any fear of any repercussions from whatever angle. So that freedom of speech and debate means they can say anything in this house, they can conduct themselves in any way that they seem fit to communicate their debates in the house without being taken to court for what they do. So you cannot take a member of parliament for anything that they say in this house because they have that freedom of speech. So in that sense, you will agree with me that it's a very important freedom, because without it, I wonder, it would be very impossible for this house and its members to actually function. Another privilege that is given to members is members are protected from the freedom of speech and debate. You know, members not only debate in the chamber, but they also function in the committees. So when they are in these committees, that freedom of speech and debate also extends to the committees. So meaning, whatever they say, whether it's on a bill, a matter before, whatever matter is for the committee, they cannot be sued in a court of law. Then when members are sitting and they are within the presence of the assembly chamber, no person can serve court process on the members unless they have leave of the speaker.
Despite having parliamentary privileges, the members of parliament are supposed to follow certain rules and procedures. During debates, the speaker ensures that any breach of the rules, which amounts to indiscipline, is dealt with.
The legislature, as you know, Chisenga, is one of the three arms of government. And on these three arms of government, you have a person that is in charge. And I think one of the important functions of a person that is in charge of each of these three arms of government is to ensure discipline within that arm of government. So like for the legislature, the speaker is the head of the legislature. And one of the important roles that the speaker plays is to ensure that there is discipline and order in the house. You know, there's what we call parliamentary decorum. Parliament has certain rules, you know, and procedures that are supposed to be observed by members as they debate in this chamber. And those rules are there to ensure that there's order, there's discipline, there's decorum. So the speaker's arbiter in the house, he ensures that any breaches of our rules, which, you know, amount to indiscipline, are handled. So in short, the speaker is the one who ensures that the rules of the house, the procedures of the house are being observed by the members. And he does this through many ways. When the chamber is in session, when there's a debate ongoing, it is also upon other members, and in particular also the whips of the political parties, to ensure that there's discipline in the house. So in a way, they also assist the speaker to ensure that there's discipline in the house.
With these powers given to the National Assembly, the members of parliament are expected to perform their duty diligently. They have no excuse of not performing their representation function in parliament. However, if a member of parliament is not performing their duty as expected by the electorate, the only way is to recall them during elections.
So really there's no excuse for a member not to perform his functions. And the function we're talking about here is really representing the electorates. So you are doing that which the electorates would want you to do, which they, if they were here, they would do. Now, The way you hold a member accountable who's underperforming is usually through what we call recall of a member. And usually there are procedures under jurisdictions that provide for a recall of a member, where the constituency will say, in simple form, what it means is the constituents, the electorates will say, this member is not representing us, so they pass a vote of no confidence on that member, and in line with the law, which provides for recall of a member of parliament, that member ceases to be a member for that particular constituency. Now, unfortunately, in Zambia, we do not have that kind of a power given to the power of recalling a member. We don't have that under our laws. So the only way in which the electorate, the constituents, you and I, can remove a member of parliament is during the vote, yes, the general elections, which occurs every 5 years, or indeed even through a by-election. Sometimes you have by-elections in the constituents, and you know the member who was underperforming may be one of the members who is actually vying for that seat. So at that time, during the elections, that is the time when an electorate can say no to a member who is not performing.
In the last 50 years, the Zambian parliament has passed several laws. One such law is the Amendment Bill, which was passed in 1972. The act effectively provided for a one-party state. And again in 1991, Zambia changed its system of governance from a single-party state to multi-party democracy.
I'm glad, therefore, to take this opportunity to say now, those who want to form their small parties are most welcome, provided they know that we want peace in Zambia. Peace, stability, unity and development. This fellow is signing on behalf of 8.5 million Zambians. Date of assent is 17th December 1990.
And more recently, Parliament passed the Constitution Amendment Bills number 1 and 2 of 2016, which have introduced various amendments to the supreme law of the land. These include the 50+1 voting threshold for the president and the presidential running mate clause. In the lawmaking process, the members of the public are allowed to appeal if they are not happy with the way that laws have been amended. Ultimately, the National Assembly's vision is to be a model legislature for democracy and good governance, not only in Africa, but in the whole world.